The playoffs begin tonight. Obviously, we have 3 or 4 series going on this evening, including Minnesota, who opens up against Winnipeg. Jets and the Wild should be a very good competitive series. Obviously, the 2-3 in the Western Conference. The highest point total in these matchups they've had in a long time. Winnipeg won the season series. Bruce Boudreau coaches the Wild, and he says hello. Bruce, welcome. Nice to talk to you today. How are you, okay?
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure, Coach, and good job by the Wild. Let's do the Wild season first. Had some injuries, struggled a little bit early, found your rhythm. You got to be overall you had a fight there to get in the postseason. You did. You secured your spot. Overall, you got to be pretty happy here as far as 2017-18 is concerned, correct?
I am, actually. I mean, the last 40 games, I think, were very good and one of the top few teams in the league. And we're flying a little bit under the radar, but that's sort of how we like it right now.
You are. You had a tough West Coast road trip there to finish the year against teams that needed it. You were basically making sure you didn't get hurt. You knew you wanted where you were in the postseason. How about finishing up on the West Coast those last 3 games, getting ready for this series here?
Well, I think it was a great lead into the playoffs because all 3 teams that we played were very motivated to play their best. And we lost one game with an empty net goal, 1 game with an overtime loss, and we won the other game. So playing 3 teams that are good hockey clubs that needed to win, and we held our own pretty well for meaningless games for us. I thought we did a good job.
There you go with Bruce Boudreau. All right, obviously you haven't played Winnipeg since January 13th. Any concern as far as that is concerned?
No, I mean, it was game 46. I think we're a lot different team than we were at that point. They've probably improved greatly as well, which is why we're such prohibitive underdogs. But at the same time, we're looking forward to the challenge.
All right, you lose a defenseman, which is 2 weeks ago to that fractured ankle. You get another one back, but without Sutter, that's a big injury. How do you compensate here as far as this series is concerned? They're a deep team there, Bruce. With a lot of firepower, and you lose a big defenseman. Thoughts on that for a sec? Let me hear.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, listen, you're not going to replace Ryan Suter. I mean, he's one of the top 5D and defensemen in the league, and so you just have to make do. I mean. We've played without Spurgeon for the last 12 games, and we've done okay. I think we're going to get him back, and yet we lose another one. But we didn't have Ryan on this West Coast trip, and we did pretty well. So I'm hoping that the boys sort of just grab together and realize that we've got to overcompensate for a loss of a great player.
And he's obviously very, very good, and we know that. And they have a lot of forwards, right, Bruce? That's the key here. They got a pretty good, explosive offensive team. You got to keep them under control. Thoughts on that for a sec? Let me hear.
Yeah, you know what? They got a great offensive team, probably the best young scorer in hockey in Patrick Laine. But in any sport, defense wins championships, and we're hoping to contain them a little bit. And if we can contain them and get great goaltending, you never know what can happen.
Oh, absolutely. You're in this series 100%. I no question about that. They're good in the power play, too. Boy, they're good in all offensive categories. Bruce, power play, goals, penalty kill, face-off percentage. They're in the top 5 or 6 in all these categories. This is and nobody knows about them outside of the NHL. This is a pretty lethal hockey team in a regular season, this Winnipeg Jets club. You know that?
Well, it absolutely is. And the one thing from where you draw from experience is we had the same kind of team when I was in Washington when we won the President's Trophy by 20 points, but at the same time we lost in the first round. So in sports, as you know, Chris, anything can happen. So we're not giving up the ship yet.
Nor should you, and you're right. Anaheim walked in there. You were coaching that team a couple years ago when you swept Winnipeg. I don't know if they have the same coaching scenario or how many players. Wasn't too long ago you played Winnipeg in an opening round series there, Bruce, and beat them 4 straight. How about that for a sec?
Yeah, you know what? There was the same coach, and probably I think they had 8 or 9 players. The only difference is experience. They were pretty young when we played them the last time. A couple of years have passed, so I'm sure they've learned from that experience, and they wouldn't doubt that they're pretty hungry to get back into the playoffs.
All right, what's the key for you here? Play good defense, tight games, good goaltending. What's the key for Bruce Boudreau's team in this scenario here? Let me hear.
Well, we can't get caught up in a track meet with an offensive team like that. And if we wanted to exchange chance for chance, we're not going to win. But if we play the way we've been playing pretty tight hockey and get great goaltending, and we stay disciplined, I think we got a shot.
And you knew that you were going to play this team, right? I mean, I didn't look where you could stand. They were the 2 seed. You've known for a while that Winnipeg was going to be your first-round opponent. Is that correct?
We've known that they were probably going to be our first-round opponent. Nothing was clear until the last couple days here, but it looked in all like they were the guys who were going to match, so that's who we prepared against.
You did. You know, I did not realize that this is a big rivalry. They're only 470 miles apart, Winnipeg and Minneapolis. I don't think that many folks know that. You've only played once. When you were the Stars and they were the Jets, you played once. But this is these two franchises got a little rivalry going, only 470 miles apart. How about that for a sec?
Yeah, it's the closest geographical opponent for Winnipeg. And though, you know, I mean, we both have the same weather, so it's not like going to California and basking in the sunshine. We're going to a cold place. They're going to come to a cold, snowy place, and so we should both be acclimated to each other's climate.
One last thing, Bruce, home ice. I mean, you know, we ought to see. We've seen all the scenarios in hockey. Teams lose 2 at home, they come back and win a series. Teams split on the road. You think you're in good shape, they lose 4 in a row. Home ice. I know they got a good arena and they're into it. And you guys, I love that St. Paul arena. I was there for the Super Bowl. We know that too. Home ice in these kind of series. These are 2 good teams. Should not be a big factor. Correct?
You know what? It shouldn't be once playoffs start. Home ice. You want it to be a factor in your favor, but and both of the teams here had the 2 of the top 5 best home records in the league. So we're going to have to win a game on the road. Then they have to come into our building, which is a tough building to play in as well. So. But I don't think it's going to be a factor once the game starts. What's
the biggest thing, Bruce? You've been in the playoffs with all these teams. Every year you get there. You know, Winnipeg, Minnesota, obviously. Now we know with the Caps and Anaheim. Every year you turn around, here's a Bruce Boudreau team in the postseason. What's the biggest thing you've learned? How do you handle it on a day-to-day basis in these tough series here?
Well, you gotta stay at an even keel, I think. And, you know, there's always usually a lot of young guys starting out here, and you got to make sure that we play the right way. If we play the right way, we're going to be fine. If we get too excited about the whole thing and start doing things that we're not capable of doing, then we're in trouble.
Good job, Bruce. Thanks for a few minutes. Looking forward to Game 1. Keep up the good work. Good luck to you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Take
Appreciate
care.
It.
You got it. Bruce Boudreau, coaches of the Wild. They get ready tonight for a Game 1. Moving along well, NHL show today. NHL store and 6th Avenue. We continue right after this.